There's so much money out there in circulation that there will be no consequences for bad business practices, bad policies or anything. They just circulate the money amongst themselves, and people would get rich in the stock market while the everyday working person would pay the consequences of the modern monetary theory. Because I would say a month, 2 months ago, I tweeted out about egg prices, the price of eggs. I just, in all transparency, I've lived in a fantasy financial land for 25 years. And so I don't pay attention to the price of things. But things are getting so out of hand that I am noticing things. And so I shop for groceries over Instacart. And it caught my attention, like, I got charged $7 for a dozen eggs. And I was like, wow, really? Because I don't pay attention, I was like, maybe eggs have always been this expensive. So I went to Google and said, maybe I've been paying $7, went to Google and found out, no, 2 years ago, eggs were $1.50 for a dozen or $2 for a dozen on the high end. And when I tweeted this out, people were, saying, you shopping at the wrong place. And if you knew what you were doing, you wouldn't be paying this or paying that. And now here I am 2 months later, and people are writing, newspapers, major media outlets are writing stories about the inflated price of eggs. And everything is up. And so, and Cardi B has talked about this, and she caught some heat about a week ago, 10 days ago, for tweeting and talking about inflated grocery store prices. And she went out and put out an explanation. And you could sit there and say, well, what do wealthy people care? Yeah, blah, blah. And it's because it does. Cardi B's in her explanation didn't say this, but when you're helping out other people in your family because they're not as financially blessed as you, these inflated prices affect you as well. And you have to start thinking about them. And like, if grocery store prices have doubled and everything else is doubled or tripled, and everything else is doubled or tripled, and your retirement income hasn't, or your job hasn't at the same level, people are really getting hurt and damaged by this. And then I went to the next level, and I'm going to bring TJ Moe and Shamika into the conversation. It took me to the point where I'm like, this is what I was trying to explain to people about the 2020 election and Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. No one that I know thinks Donald Trump is some super great person, some Bible thumper, some perfect no one. I don't know anybody that thinks that. I know many people, though, that think his policies were superior to what the Democrats were planning. And the Democrats made it crystal clear under Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Janet Yellen, all these people made it crystal clear they were going to go with the modern monetary theory. And in 2020, I started explaining to family and friends the modern monetary theory that they were adopting and was going to become pervasive if the Democrats took if they took the White House. The modern monetary theory believes the federal government can print as much money as it wants, and there are no consequences to that. And anybody with a brain was like, well, that's going to cause inflation. It's going to benefit the rich. They're going to put so much money into circulation, and they're going to pass that money around the little club of elite rich people, and prices would skyrocket, and the people at the top of the food chain, their salaries would skyrocket. Athletes, any entertainers, that's why they're all getting paid. There's so much money poured into, and television ratings won't matter in professional sports because there's so much money out there in circulation that there will be no consequences for bad business practices, bad policies or anything. They just circulate the money amongst themselves, and people would get rich in the stock market while the everyday working person would pay the consequences of the modern monetary theory. the printing of all this money. And that's exactly what's happening right now. You can't afford to go to the groceries because they've printed so much money and escalated the prices of everything while your salary, your income has not escalated at the same rate. There are consequences to racial idolatry, gender idolatry, sexual preference idolatry, all these things that the left has sold you, and all these conservatives and Donald Trump, they're all racist and they hate. And so vote for Joe Biden. And so you vote in all these leftist Democrats that have policies and theories that are destroying you. And you do it under the pretense of, well, if Donald Trump was in office, he don't like black people and he don't like women or whatever. And so, well, you know, this is paying $7 for eggs is better than having an orange president who puts out mean tweets. These are the consequences. How do you like paying these consequences for your uninformed, short-sighted, illogical decisions? Not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to put the truth in front of your face. I live and have lived for 25, maybe even 30 years, I can't do the math anymore, in a financial fantasy land. I'm single and I made a lot of money. This doesn't impact me. It impacts you, and that's why I'm talking about it, because the world isn't about me. I'm fine. I don't have kids. If I starve to death, who cares? But you, with families, kids to raise and develop, you should care.